Thanks a lot, Karthik, for joining the call today. It's a pleasure to have you here, and we would definitely love to hear from you your experience of applying for job seeker visa and the whole process that you have gone through. Yeah, so to get started with, I would like to hear from you a short introduction of yourself about your background and what are you doing currently and what are your future plans on a very short note, and then
Sure.
we will move from there.
Yeah.
Over to you.
So thanks, Anup. Thanks for inviting me for this short talk. And I think I met you in our JIC community. I was basically looking for some kind of updated information on the JSV. And then I got your couple of blog posts and eventually joined the Discord community. So that's how I found this very helpful. And I thought I should also share my experience where others also would get benefit out of it. So that's the main reason we thought of to do it today. And yeah, coming to the details about me and myself, Karthik, and I have total 16 years of experience into IT. Most of them onto Microsoft stack, started as a developer and then played in multiple roles. And currently, I'm supporting the topics on the SharePoint and Azure administrations topics in my current company. So I take care of the project management and techno-functional roles, and that's basically the role even I looked at the positions in Germany. So that's a very short intro about me. Yeah.
Got it. Thanks a lot for sharing that your basic information with the rest of the audience. So I also got to know that you applied for JSV and you had some, so the process was not straightforward. You applied for JSV, you got it, and then you had some other processes going in parallel. So I would like to understand more about it.
Mhm.
And yeah, from there we will take more questions about JSV and how the process was. But first of all, we would like to understand what's the current situation and yeah, what are you doing right now, basically? What is your plan?
Okay. Yeah. So I basically applied for a JSP. I mean, I started looking for the slots from 2021, end of 2021, something like December or November, once this COVID pandemic has started settling down. And so I got my appointment sometime in October. So basically, I was there in a waiting list for 6 months, and then I got an appointment after 3 months from the date when I got an email from the VFS portal. So I got basically the slot at Bangalore Consulate. I'm basically from Bangalore.
Mhm.
So when I applied, the JSP interviews were happening at the Bangalore Consulate. From starting November, they changed it. Now there is no interviews as such. The people can directly submit the documents at the VFS document submission center itself. In my
Mm.
case, I had to go through the embassy, and then they had given us kind of a questionnaire. So in the past, it's like a person talking to us with a set of questionnaires. So now it was like printed document. You need to fill, okay, why you want to go to Germany, what is your intended plans, what is the research that you did, what companies you applied, and then I submitted all the documents at the embassy, and then within a week's time, I got my approved passport in my hands. And then I started applying for the jobs with updating my resume that I already have visa, don't need a visa sponsorship by any employer. So that basically opened more doors for me to apply for many jobs because most of the employers are not ready to sponsor for the employees because they don't know whether I would really land there or come and join there. So when I have this and when I updated my resume, then basically I started getting the calls from many employers. So that way I got a couple of offers, and yeah, a few of them were under the discussions. And then eventually, what has happened is once I accepted an offer and I thought of to move, I mean, my current employer also made me an offer to come into an European state. So that's where I've been with them for almost 6 years. So I mean, continuing my career there would eventually a good idea. So I decided
Mm.
to take that offer and stay back. So right now, I just kept my CSV aside and working on my new journey towards Poland. That's the current update, I would say.
Nice, nice. So two follow-up questions on this. So
Yes.
one is basically what was the difference that you found before you got a JSV in terms of getting response from employers, and after
Mhm.
you got the GSP, so what was the difference there? That's my first question. And the second question is around, so why Poland? So, I mean, your employer has a presence in Poland, but do you really want to go to Poland? If so, then what's the reason behind that, and why not Germany, right?
Yes, I can give you some inputs definitely. Yes. So initially, I started applying with my Indian CV through LinkedIn and other job portals. Of course, I took a couple of portals from our GIC Plus subscription. Also, there were some couple of sites which were being shared where I can apply. But most of the responses that I got were basically from the LinkedIn. Okay.
Mm.
So initially, when I applied with the link, I mean, Indian format with 5 to 6 pages of resume having a detailed description, I think nobody has even looked at it. So then what I did was I started looking at some of the videos through YouTube to see how I can modify the resume as per the European standards. So then what I did was I um, updated my resume max to 2 to 3 pages with updating only the high skills of only the last 2 employers because I work with 9 employers in India. So if I
Mm.
start writing everything, then it becomes like a book. So I removed all the
Yeah.
other things, just gave the company and the duration. Only the last two, where I have the relevant experience as per the job description, I used to update it. And this I used to update for every job description. Based on the job description, you need to look at the keywords, have some keywords added to that. It's not copy paste. Again, that doesn't work. So you take the keywords, paraphrase or rephrase it, and then start updating your resumes and applying it. So initially, before the visa, I mean, most of the emails were like, "Okay, we got your profile, but sorry, we went with another candidate or suitable
Yeah.
candidate like that." And I think only 1, 2 responses they said like, "Okay, we'll come back to you at a later point of time." So I mean, the initial screening is done. We'll come back to a later point of time, but nobody has came back even for 4 to 5 months because the total duration that I started from December until October without my job seeker visa. This duration there was no much calls at all. I didn't even get a single call. So
Mm.
then I basically applied to JS with these responses, showing to the embassy that I was serious about it, and I have applied for so many companies. So that basically also gives you a weightage to your visa. And then once I got a visa, what I did was I updated my resume that okay, I have a visa validity from this day to this day, so no sponsorship is required. And then I started applying for a couple of employers. So then I started getting the interview schedules, but again, most of them did went through after the first HR round. Mostly because I'm in India, even the number that I was giving them is basically the Indian number. So then we need a small tweak.
Yeah.
So I updated my location to the Germany with some address there, and then I started applying it, saying that I have a job seeker visa. Then yes, then the technical interviews were also getting scheduled. So I applied
Mm.
for. I mean, every day I used to apply for 5 to 6, not much. I was choosy about the companies and the job
Mm.
descriptions that I was looking at, and then within a couple of weeks, I got a handful number of responses from these employers. So it's basically for my profile, there was totally 4 rounds. So the HR used to call for the first round, and then there was a technical round, and then there was a managerial round, and finally again they spoke about the compensation and other stuff. So we had 4 rounds. So that's how I landed in two offers after 2 months of effort. Yeah, but without visa, I mean, my personal experience is like okay, not a good response that I had looked at.
Mm. Okay, understood.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
the second part of the question was more about, yeah, you got an offer from your current employer, but you also had two offers from Germany, right? So what made you decide that, okay, let me go to Poland and stay with the current employer and not to Germany?
yeah, it was basically a difficult decision to take at after doing a lot of research towards Germany, and I was kind of a pivot towards the Germany journey. And my daughter was also being schooled towards the Germany subject, so she completed
Hmm.
up to A2 level, so that she was comfortable there in the schooling.
Okay.
Yeah, but when I got offer for the Poland, so I was also checking all the pros and cons. One thing that I looked at is, even though I got many responses, the ones which actually landed towards the offers were very less.
Mm,
During this particular duration, and some of my friends who got the offers were also being terminated during the probation period because of the current economical situation in Germany. So I
mm,
had seen many of my batch people who went on JSC, because we had a community in WhatsApp and other places where people went from Bangalore or Chennai. Of course, they eventually landed there, but they had to undergo some struggles there again. Maybe
mm.
it's one or two companies once they land there. So that's basically one aspect I looked at. And second aspect that I looked at is the cost of living when I compared with Germany and Poland. So I felt the cost of living in the Poland is less. Of course, your salary compared to Germany is comparable, not much you will get.
Mm.
But at the same time, when you looked at the expenses, it was like very less. I could
Okay.
see it's similar to the India prices, because even
Mm.
I went 2 months back to Poland to see how the situation is there, schooling for my kid and all these things. So the prices were comparable to India, not that much of difference. So the amount of money that you could save, basically everybody wants to save some money when you go abroad, right? So
Yeah.
that's basically coming to the same state towards Germany and the Poland. Yeah.
Mm.
And especially on the economical situation and also the type of the offers that I got. So I thought, okay, it's not a wise decision to take risk at this point of time, as I also have another option to choose at. Having with a family, 2 kids. So I thought, okay, this would be the right choice right now. Let's see later point of time. Yeah.
Mm. Okay.
So that's why I chose Poland. But
Yeah, understood.
yeah, the role wise is also a very good one which they have offered in Poland. And even the compensation, because I was basically looking for an international school, I couldn't say much, like others. But if I go for a public school, then it's a lot what they have offered. So that we need to
Yeah.
agree.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, definitely makes sense, right? In the current situation that Germany is
Yeah.
going through, and also making sure that you stick to your current employer. I think that's also a good thing to have as
Yeah.
as a benefit, right? Yeah, so we will touch upon more on that part, but let's move on to the JSV, the process that you were going through. So while you got the JSV, I believe you also searched for some apartments in Germany, and you kind of gone through the apartment issues, right? So
Yes.
what Germany is currently going through. So what was your experience there, and what would you suggest others who are basically planning to move to Germany to do to get a temporary apartment in Germany?
Yes. So accommodation is also part of the Germany JSV checklist, right? So initially I checked uh, a little bit of research, not only for the visa purpose, also to see how much expense it would cost. Because if I'm going on a JSV, then I need to spend from my pocket, so I should have handful of money to bear all my expenses.
Mm.
So the ones which I looked at, the Booking.com or any other online portals, were pretty expensive. And then I was also doing the MBA in online mode in IU University Berlin. So then I also had some couple of student friends who were studying there. So I was also checking with them how the cost of accommodations would be in Berlin, because I was not going on a student visa, so I wouldn't be able to get the student accommodations. And the other accommodations in Berlin, especially after the war, I could see it's the
Very
minimum is
expensive.
going around 700 to 800 euros. So that's on the shared
That
accommodation.
That's also, I think you are being very optimistic in that case. I mean, I've not heard about anything which is less than 1,500 euros. I mean,
Yeah,
maybe you're talking
the
about the
ones which I
shared
was
apartments.
telling is basically the studio apartments.
Okay,
You'll have the shared bed. Two of the people will be staying
understood.
using the same bed, and then you'll share the kitchen and bathroom. So, not going for the hi-fi accommodation. So the
Mhm.
minimum accommodation was also costing me this much. So if
Okay.
you search through some of the Telegram groups, we have many Telegram groups which are open in for especially for the Berlin or other locations. If you search from the app, so you'll get some kind of information there, but don't pay upfront.
Mm.
There are also a lot of scammers. So I basically asked my friends to look at and see, okay, if it is real and if it is genuine. So I was able to get somewhere around 700 to 800 range. But then one of my friend from our community went, I think, 45 days earlier than me before getting my job seeker visa. So he stayed in a location called Chemnitz. It's 2 to 3 hours from Berlin. So he showed some couple of accommodations. So these accommodations were costing around 300 to 320 euros per month, including everything. So it's again the shared accommodations. You'll have your individual bedroom, and of course,
Mm-hmm.
kitchen and bathroom will be shared. So I had seen many advantages over this location. One is we can get the unmailed and registration within the next few days.
Mm.
And during the job search, especially after Corona, everything became online. We don't need to go physically to the offices. So you
Yeah.
can stay any part of the Germany basically to apply for the jobs. All you need is a German number. So that's when I reached out to my friend. So he basically introduced his owner, and then we signed up an agreement for 320 euros, including everything. Yeah.
Mm.
So that's when I decided to use, if at all I was traveling, but unfortunately at the last minute I couldn't go. And after this, I also searched for the accommodations. Like if you see 90 to 120 minutes far from Berlin, they will get around 400 euros, the shared accommodations.
Yeah.
Yeah. And especially they can look at the places where the universities are there. For example, Ulm, it's near to the Stuttgart. They could again get around 400 euros if they want to look at the accommodation, shared accommodations. So these are some of the places that I would suggest for the people who are planning to come there
Mm.
and stay in the initial stages. And then once you get your job, you can move to the nearby place as per your employer.
Mm. Understood. But what I understand from the conversation is that you had already some friends there. So what about those people who are basically, starting new and they don't have anyone in Germany? How would they approach this particular situation? What's your suggestion on that?
Yeah, I had also seen some people who went without having this kind of information. I think most of them initially they booked some kind of hostels 1 to 2 weeks in Berlin, and then they started searching for the apartments. That's another way where they can come to Germany, stay in a hostel, but the hostel would be again 6 to 8 members sharing. But yeah, I mean,
Mm.
they need to take that risk in the first week, and then eventually they can find somebody who could help the accommodation. So that's another way. But if we
Okay.
have somebody from our community, I think I mean, if we just post and request there, I think we have people who could help. Yeah.
Yeah. Understood. Okay, then let's move back to the professional part of your journey and the
Mhm.
domain and your experience, right? Basically, so what are you working on? So, what is your professional, qualification, and what is your current role? And what do you think? What kind of a job market does this particular domain have in Germany or in Europe in general? So, what is the scope for someone who is working in the same domain as you are?
Okay, so I was basically working on, as I said, a Microsoft stack completely, mostly onto the SharePoint and Azure.
Mhm.
But I don't see much of the openings right now on the SharePoint administration side. We have few, but it's mostly onto the Microsoft 365, and they're not ready to take somebody who is outside of Germany, to be precise. But I could see the cloud market in Germany is very good. It's not only in Germany, I would say in the whole Europe. I
Yeah.
could see two domains were very hot. One is a DevOps, and the other one was on Azure. So I did also a couple of certifications on it when I'm applying for these jobs on the Azure Solution Architecture level. So basically, I could see these openings. If you just search, I think you'll get minimum hundreds of openings in LinkedIn. And I didn't even. I mean, initially, I was not so keen towards Germany because I thought okay, I should be little open to
Mm.
see at the whole Europe. And when I started applying, I got a couple of calls from Belgium as well, apart from Germany, and I got few calls from Netherlands, and I also got an offer from Belgium for the same role, Azure Architect role. But
Mm.
the cost of living, and I compared, it was like little more compared to Germany, so I didn't accepted that. But yeah, Azure cloud AWS, if you have, then the chances of getting your offers will increase. But you can basically target whether you want to focus on Microsoft Cloud or you want to focus on Google Cloud or Azure DevOps. So on the DevOps side, if they know kind of CI/CD, some kind of Docker or Kubernetes, then I think that's also have plenty of opportunities in complete Europe right now. So these are the things that I focus. So I basically upgraded. I mean, brushed up my knowledge on the Azure, which I worked in the past with a couple of certifications before I applied, so that I could also answer the technical questions. And then I started applying for it. And then yes, there was good responses from the employers.
Mm. Okay, so two follow-up questions again. So one is you said about Google Cloud and Azure, but you never mentioned anything about AWS. So as far as I understand, AWS is also really in good demand. So what's your take on that? And secondly, what's the job opportunities for people who are currently in India and who are looking for a job in Germany in this particular domain, which is the cloud infrastructure or the DevOps part of it?
Okay, because I know only these two technologies, I was focused on looking on Google and Microsoft cloud architectures. AWS also we had, but when I looked at the job descriptions, many of the employers, they were not so choosy, except
Okay.
few. This, I mean, you'll find something like, okay, you should have a cloud architecture knowledge, either Azure or AWS, or having both would be an added advantage, kind of things.
Yeah.
And even during my interview rounds, when I doesn't know about AWS, I told them, yeah, so Microsoft Cloud is the one which I worked for a long time. But yeah, the concepts would be same, but of course the interfaces would be different, or the conceptualization would be a little bit different. Then they were also like, okay, yeah, that's not so important for them. So that's something, if they have one knowledge on one particular cloud technology on the whole, then they could definitely look at it. Because I was more focused on Azure, so I was looking at that.
Okay, understood.
And coming to the
So,
follow-up question for the people who
mhm,
are applying from the India, as I said, my personal experience at this stage, the current economical situation, so far I had seen from last 1 year, if you do not have a job seeker visa, if you are applying from India, I don't want to demotivate them, but I couldn't find any opportunities. That's my personal
mm,
experience. Yeah, but
okay.
yeah, just having this additional advantage on your profile will open many doors for them.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I've also seen that, once you apply for a job seeker visa and you show that on your resume, it gives a confidence to the employer as well. That, yeah, this person is really serious and we can basically get him as soon as possible if he gets
Hmm.
selected into this particular
And
role.
one more thing, what I have observed is there are many startups where they do not have a tie-ups to these relocation agents. So they do
Exactly.
not want to really take the risk of getting the
Mm,
sponsorship or work permit or other headaches. All they wanted to do is, okay, I'll give you an offer, will you be able to join? Rest, whatever is there, you have to sort it out yourself. So
exactly.
that's also one thing which will, get you more opportunities when you say you don't need a sponsorship.
Makes sense. Yeah, definitely. Okay, thank you for answering that question. So let's move on to the visa process. So
Mhm.
you applied for GSV from India, right? And you said from Bangalore. So what was your experience of applying for this particular visa from Bangalore, and how much time it took you for getting the visa, basically? And also, what would you suggest for someone who is someone who is planning for a JSV, to kind of prepare or do some homework before actually applying for the JSV, so that the time required for getting the visa is reduced? So, what is your suggestion on that as well?
Yeah, I mean, I basically applied from Bangalore, and then the visa process were very simple. No need to go with any kind of agents. I mean, I had also seen many people asking in the online communities, do we need any agents or something? I would say no. And the checklist which is available in the German consulate is pretty straightforward. So we could start arranging those documents. And the main important thing that you should have is the documents which proves that you are serious towards
Hmm.
this journey. Yeah. So as I said, when I applied, I mean, it's the same from the VFS portal. You basically get a slot, and then you need to go and submit the documents at the German embassy. But now, as the process has changed, you also submit your documents at VFS office itself.
Hmm.
So they have the branches almost all the cities. They could see which city basically they can apply based on the jurisdiction. I think there is based on the states they can apply only for the specific VFS document center. They cannot apply anyway. So that they
Yeah.
need to check. It's there on the VFS portal. They could find out and then they could basically enter and wait in the wait list. It's basically the waiting list system right now. And then the VFS will basically send them an email that, hey, there are slots available. If you are really interested, go ahead and book. And then they
Hmm.
can book for the slots. And when they wait in the wait list for the appointment, they could start applying for the couple of offers from LinkedIn or any other job portals and get the responses from them. Either it could be a positive or negative, it doesn't matter. That's my
Hmm.
personal experiences because I have given, I mean, most of my responses that I've given, 95% of them were only rejections. I had
Hmm.
only one or two emails which says we'll have the next round eventually in the week's time, like that. It's nothing says like the offer is confirmed or something. Just like the HR confirming, okay, your profile screening is done, so you'll have a next round. That's the only two such responses I had. But all the other responses were like, okay, thank you, we look for some other guy, all the negative responses. So you
Hmm.
could basically put all these responses together to show that, okay, you are serious in applying this. And the main reason you are applying for this visa is you are not getting any responses while you are in India. That's the reason you wanted to move forward.
Hmm.
And also the amount, the bank balance that they need to maintain in their account. I think right now it's around 1,000 euros approximately per month is what they need to show. And I haven't showed in any blocked account. What I had done was I just kept around 6 lakhs in my savings account, took the statement, got the seal and signature from the bank, and gave it along with the visa documents. That's it. So these are the important things. And for certain consulates or certain regions, they don't do the document verification if you have the confirmation from the N1 site that you have an equivalent German accreditation or the education level. So if you have a H plus, which is marked in the site, take a screenshot and then attach it into your application. That would be enough, especially for the South. So far, I haven't seen they're taking any document verification amount. But in certain places, they were taking it. Some of my friends applied recently from Delhi. I think they charged around 30 to 40K for document verification. Yeah. But at least in the south region, apart from Mumbai, I don't see that they were collecting this. So just need to
Hmm.
pay the visa fees of 6,500 to 7,000 based on the euro rate. You need to look at the embassy side and see what is the current price, take a DD, and then submit your application. So while you wait in your wait list, apply for the jobs, keep the responses, and also keep your balance at least for a month. I haven't shown for months and years. I just kept it for a month and gave it. So that's they are fine because I had my salary account and it
Hmm.
has the credits also coming. So they can understand, okay, he has an income, steady income where he can get. And then as per the checklist, put all the documents and go to the VFS center and submit it. That's it. And then if your documents are perfect, then I haven't seen any rejection so far.
Hmm.
So the chances of getting your visa is like very high. Yeah. But you need to have a preparation. Most of the rejections that we had seen is basically on the intention uh, of applying for the visa. But if you have these responses uh, along with your application, that itself shows that you are serious and you are looking for the opportunity. So that would be good enough.
Okay, understood. So you said that you had around 6 lakhs of rupees in your bank account. So that is one thing. But other than that, what all expenses you had throughout the process of applying for a JSV, and how much money do you think one person should have in the bank account before he even thinks of applying for a JSV for Germany?
Okay, so the amount that we are planning to show 6 lakhs for the visa, if you can keep it even while traveling, I think that should be good enough. Not much. If you are, I mean, the purpose of us going there is to search for the job. If we stick to that purpose, not
Hmm.
living a hi-fi lifestyle initial days before getting a job, that would be a good enough. Because when I spoke to my friends, or even I traveled to Germany a couple of times, looking even at the current inflation rates, uh, you can, if you have around 30 euros a day you can have all 3 meals outside. Not a big meal, but yeah, you can have a decent
Yeah.
meal. And also accommodations, if you are looking a little bit far from the city centers, then you would be able to survive with that amount. But for the application, I haven't spent anything except the amount that I have taken for the taking the photocopies or a photo, and then the DD for the visa of around 7,000. I haven't spent anything much. But as I said, for the few consulates, they ask for the document verification fee, which will be an
Yeah.
additional 40,000. So apart from that, nothing. So as part of the checklist, you also have the bookings. So I have done the bookings through booking.com, which has a free cancellation. Of
Mm.
course, it's not with the lowest price, you will get with the highest price. But yeah, look at a decent one and then book something, give for the visa documentation, and then maybe you can cancel it later. Even when it comes to the insurance, I had taken two insurance. One is basically the travel insurance with the medical emergency related coverage,
Hmm.
and for few places they were also asking for the German health insurance.
Yeah.
So what I have done was I have taken this from the Expatrio. So if you open an Expatrio account, and you can basically apply for a German health insurance. It's free of cost for the application. They won't charge you anything, and they will also give you the confirmation within 24 hours. Is what I had seen,
Mm.
and you start paying once you land there. And if you want to continue with that coverage, I think with my age they were giving the private insurance of Dr. Walter or something. If you do not want to continue with that, then you can cancel it. But for the visa application, that serves a purpose. So this way, I haven't spent even for the booking of accommodations and travel insurance. Also, as I said, after your visa purpose, you could basically cancel it. They charge you only 100 or 200 bucks, and then they refund you the money. And you can basically enable your German health insurance there, so that you are covered completely. Even though it's
Mm.
a little bit on the higher price of side, but in the current situation, health insurance is the main important thing that I think we should have it there. So
Yeah.
apart from that expenses side, I think 6 lakhs would be a good amount. I think I had seen my friends who went with 4 lakhs also in the last 4 to 5 months of time itself. But yeah, having around 6 lakhs, you'll have some plenty of things in your
Understood.
hand.
Thank you. Then let's talk about the German language, right? So when someone is applying for a JSV, they are really concerned about the language proficiency. They are thinking that whether they should start learning German back in India, or should they, start applying for jobs and then move to Germany and then maybe start learning German there. So there is always a dilemma of whether to learn or not to learn. So what was your experience, and what do you think or suggest people who are planning to apply for a JSV?
See, even I tried to learn, but I couldn't succeed.
Mm.
I bought a couple of courses thinking that I would learn before flying, but because of my work schedule and all, I couldn't able to start. But during my application process or the whole journey of mine, I didn't find that difficult because I'm basically from IT and most of them speak English. And I was also applying for the job postings, which were posted only in the English language. I was avoiding the job postings which were posted in German, so that I know that they would expect at least a basic German proficiency.
Yeah.
So apply for the English advertisements. They basically respond in English. I didn't had any challenges. But I think when I travel to Germany, I see that okay, you should have at least a basic level of German language to communicate, except you are in the city center or in a big shopping malls. So for communicating, you should have it. So in couple of places, I used Google Translate the audio conversation to communicate what I wanted to tell them. But
Mm.
apart from that, in the application process or anywhere, I don't see any issues.
Okay. So do you also say that people who are in your domain, basically the DevOps or the infrastructure people, they don't really need to worry about German language because,
No, if they
yeah,
are
it's not required.
concentrating on job, it's not required. But I think
Mm.
once they land or once they reach there, if you want to collaborate with the people and if you want to
Yeah.
get integrated with their community, you should start learning it. That way, they would also feel that okay, you have the tendency to get into their community or their culture. But for the
Yeah.
application or for the job, I don't see any need. With my experience, at least in IT, we have plenty of openings now.
Mm. Yeah, definitely. Okay, so let's talk a bit about your background, your educational qualification, where you come from, and which university you graduated from, and all that information if you would like to share that, and also where you were born, and yeah, so a bit of a personal touch to this conversation that we have.
Sure. Basically, I'm from Tirupati. It's from Andhra Pradesh. Everybody might be knowing because it's
Yeah,
the richest temple, right?
I was there once. I went to Tirupati, I think in 2020. No, 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 2016 or 17. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm from Tirupati. So all my schooling, everything, all my studies happened in Tirupati itself. And
Mm,
I didn't had any kind of exposure going outside of the city until I finished my graduation. So I did my BTech there itself in Vidyaniketan. It's basically the Mohan Babu's college, the film actor director in Telugu industry. So then I started looking for the jobs in my domain. Of course, when I graduated back in 2006, the initial days was not so good. So even we worked for a few companies without any salary for the first few
mm,
months. So then I started my professional journey. So yes, I started my career in 2006 with BTech, the computer science domain itself. And then while I work, I also finished my master's in computer science. And in 2020, I finished my doctorate, PhD in the same domain. Because at one point of time, I also had a backup plan because IT was so hectic. I thought, okay, I wanted to get out of this domain and get into a college and then live a peaceful life there. So that's one of the backup plan that I had. So I finished my PhD also there.
mm.
And then in with my company, it was like, okay, it's not so hectic. So I was like, okay, let's go forward and work for some more time. So it continued, and recently I joined for MBA because now when you start moving towards more than 15 years of experience, and when you start working with the management kind of roles, I thought, okay, having some knowledge onto this and talking to them in their language would eventually open us more doors. So that's where now I started my MBA course through IU Germany because I felt that's costs less than the amount that if I apply for any local universities there,
Yeah.
and I can get it within 1 year with less price. And they teach us everything online. It's just you need to spend your time and get it.
Ah.
So that way.
Sorry, I kind of interrupted you. I was asking that if you are kind of done with the previous question, you can also talk about some of the interesting facts about you and some of your hobbies.
Yeah, I mean, I just thought of to tell about when we are talking about personal life. I also thought
Yeah,
of
yeah,
to tell about my
sure.
families. I'm married, so we married almost 13 years back. So I have my daughter who is 12 years old, and I have my son, younger son. He's now 3 years. So he was born during the COVID times, so he was completely a home kid now. Yeah, so that's about my personal life.
Okay. Yeah, so some of the hobbies that you have and you enjoy doing when you are free, basically on weekends or yeah. So what are your hobbies basically?
I think hobbies keeps changing over a period of time
Mm-hmm.
and as we grow. So I had a hobby of collecting the stamps or the coins from different countries. So I used to collect around 130 countries postal
Ah.
stamps. Still have it with me. And I think after marriage, things were changed. So I started more towards my work or the personal life. And again, few years into IT, so it's very common that I started getting more interest towards the technology. So I used to check all the gadgets, whatever comes in the mobiles or tablets or the laptops. So I used to explore them for some time, and then I used to sell it off in the second-hand market. So like that, I used to also spend a lot of my money in this exploring
Mm.
topics to learn how it works and also to see how it's going to be useful. And currently, the only thing that I had was because I have my son who's now only 2 years. So most of my time I spend with him at home, playing with him. And yeah, if we get a longer time, then we go out with the family. So that's about it.
Yeah, interesting. So I think we are approaching the end of this interview. Not really interview, but the discussion.
Mhm.
So towards the end, we would like to understand if there are some tips or tricks for people who are in India and planning to make their move to Germany. mainly using a JSV visa. So do you have some kind of tips for them before they actually apply for the JSV and also throughout their entire JSV process? So how can they make their JSV process easier and painless, basically?
I wouldn't say it's tips. I would say it's a hard work which will pay at the end. You know,
Mm,
so it's pretty simple. So they could just follow the JSP checklist to apply for it, and only thing is they should make their application stronger. As I said, keep applying for the jobs, put it along with your application so that they also feel that you are really serious and you get your visa done, and then start applying your jobs. So most of the times what I had seen is the people will just search for the easy apply the same resume for all the job descriptions. That doesn't work.
yeah.
So this is something which I have tried when I'm lazy, but it doesn't work. So you need to look at the job description, see what they are actually looking, and you have to
Mm,
update your profile. And you also have your covering letter. I had seen many covering letters, which is very big, not required. You could also write it in 3 or 4 sentences what exactly you are looking at and what's about you, so that the interviewer or the person who posted the ad can have a first glimpse about your profile, and then eventually he can open and see the more details in your resume. So
yeah.
one is keep updating your resume, look at the job description, update each and every resume, each and every application that you are going to do, and then apply seriously. Then definitely, yeah, you'll be able to land. That's the thing I
Mm,
would say. There will be many
thank you.
factors which people would be telling, yeah, just leave it behind and focus on what you want. That's it.
So mainly being, doing hard work and being consistent and believe
Yes.
in the process and apply, right?
Yeah, see, when you get more negative responses than your positive responses, many times you tend like, okay, I wanted to give up because nothing is working out.
Mm,
So if you come to that kind of conclusion, then that's basically the end of your journey. So leave all
mm,
these negative responses, keep trying. Definitely, you'll get something good responses. But as I said, the moment you start updating your resume and as per your job description and then keep applying it, the number of rejection emails will eventually come down. It
yeah.
wouldn't be like in the past when you apply the same profile for everyone.
Yeah, and I also think that with the number of applications that you do, you also understand the process much better, right? You understand what are the things that leads to my rejections and what are the things that leads to the approvals, and then you start optimizing your resume
Yes,
and the way
yes,
you apply to jobs. Yeah,
yes, that's correct.
definitely. Cool. Then that's all, Karthik, and thanks a lot for sharing all this information. It was really insightful, and I'm sure that our audience will definitely love this, especially because it's a JSV topic, right? And it's a hot topic at the moment. Everyone wants to move to European country, and Europe itself is like asking people from other countries to move to Germany, especially because they
See,
are
and
lacking.
also this is
Yeah.
a good opportunity that is available for the people who are actually looking to move abroad. When
Mm,
Germany is giving the job seeker visas, I would see there is a trend now. I think moving the interviews away from the consulate and giving it to VFS, I could see many people are getting the job seeker visas. It's just that you need to keep
mm,
your application complete. That's it. So that gives you a lot of advantage to you. So make use of the current opportunities that we have, because I had seen it was closed for almost 2 years from 2020 until end of 2021 during the COVID times. So right now they were giving a lot of visas, and we don't know how long it would. So if you are looking for it, take the advantage of this and then apply for it. That's what I would say.
yep. Perfect. Then thanks a lot. Enjoy the rest of the day.
Thanks,
Thank you
Anu.
again for joining this
Take
call.
care. Have a good day. Sure.
You
Thank
too.
you.
Bye.